in to Divine Connection Presents the Thought Process Show. We are back, and I'm still laughing because I can't deal with the kids. Too honest at all times. Again, I'm your host, Keisha M Lee, and here at the Thought Process Show, I interview real people with real testimonies about real life, seeking on real and relevant truths. As always, this is no different. If you did not catch, and this is for all of our Facebook watchers, the very first half of the show, you missed a treat. You will need to go ahead and subscribe to Divine Connections YouTube and catch it when it's uploaded a little later on. Now, special guest, whew, I was talking really fast. Now I gotta take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Shantae Gamble.
Hey y'all.
Lindsay Bivens.
Hello.
Anthony Thomas.
Blessings.
During the time in the 90s where, crack cocaine was a big thing and it was a whole drug cartel in my neighborhood. So they were dealing right outside my bedroom window. It was that bad. We lived on a corner, so you know how that was. At nighttime on the corner, they were dealing outside of my bedroom window. But grew up with single mom. I had one sister, and I was just dealing with daddy issues. Ago. I moved in with him. I moved in with him, and when you're a young girl, especially around the age 18, whatever, you think you know everything, but you don't know nothing. So I was that girl, and I masked it for a long time. After he got physical with me, I just did not want to admit to my mother or my family that he was physically abusing me. Fast forward, I was 21 years old, and he tried to kill me. conference that is geared toward helping people identify their God-given talent. It is my firm belief that is where the oil will flow on your life. When you just do what God created you to do. But all of those twists and turns, they have guided me here. And I'm going to say this and then I'll wrap up. God is so good about the conference because I listened to, my co-panelists, and when I started doing this conference, it's a tour, my first time. I said, Lord, I know I need to create something for people like me. And the Lord said, I want you to take this around the country. And I said, oh God, no. No, Lord, I don't even know what I'm doing, first of all. How dare I try to strike out? But something God said in my spirit, and listening to you all, it has blessed me so, because God said, you got to be all right with taking a seat. This can't be about you. Yeah. So I just tell God thank you, because you all are confirming things for me. God is on purpose having me work behind the scenes to make it happen and have a seat and let other people be great in the room.
Amen. That's powerful.
You know what? Look, someone asked me. She say, someone came to a radio station and she say, I want to do this and can you help me? I was like, sure. She said, why wouldn't you show me how to do something that you're doing? Or how can you host a conference when you're a speaker? And don't you want to speak in front of millions and you literally, I left my job to do, because I wanted to do ministry full time. This is what you want to do. Why would you have a conference and allow other people that's on a higher level than you to speak? Isn't that what you're trying to do? And I just had to remind myself and remind her that what God has for me is for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that just reminded me when you said that when you have the ability to provide a platform for others, you don't question God and what He's doing. Because He said if it's for you, it will be for you. And no matter where they are, see, the people you putting in front of you and the people you're allowing speaking that there's something else that just popped in my spirit. Thank you, God. If you said you was the only African American woman in some of those rooms. He said if you're the highest one in the room and you can't learn from anybody in the room, you're in the wrong room. So sometimes He have to put you in places and sit you down. Everyone that has spoken at my conferences has been speaking for years and years. I want to be, Shalandria Taylor. When she walked in, I automatically knew who I went up to her and I said, tell me your name. And when she told me, I said, I've been following you for a long time. And she was just at the Thought Process show, at the very last show, sitting in the back. But to have somebody that you'll follow, somebody that you look up to, somebody that you pay attention to, LaShondra Gary. Come on now, and to be able to pick up the phone and have conversations with, what do you need help with? God says, I will remove everybody in your life just to place those people in your life that you need, that one connection to move you where you need to go now. So if you have the ability and the platform to bring those people and allow them to stand where God wants them to be, He say, I will put you where you need to be in your time, but I need you to be humble and understand what I'm doing first. I'm sorry. We have a question.
I identify with that. I used to tell people all the time, because I have people tell me that too. But I always tell them, think about in cheerleading, a pyramid, where are the strong people at?
At the bottom.
At the bottom. Because I'm strong enough to let you stand on my shoulders. Right? What about when you build in a building, you go down deep, it's the foundation. And if you are a platform, that's what you are. You are a foundation that you're putting people on to. But you got to be strong. And you got to know that I'm okay being at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay? Because we all building the same thing. We all on the same mission.
All for the kingdom.
And if I could just add real quick, so two things. One, so sometimes when you sitting on the sideline, you see the game better. Sometimes I see what you missing. I see that was an opportunity to minister to that person, and we did not obey the Holy Spirit.
Come on now.
We so scripted. Nope, it was supposed to be a welcome right here. No, man. If the Holy Spirit is moving, it's not about you right now. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, see the game better. You see where the hurt is. You see where the need is. And the other thing about it is sometimes, like even with our whole team, I always tell them like I don't have to be, on the camera. It don't have to be me. And The good thing about you is, think about Pastor LaShonda Gary. She's somehow, I think Pastor Liddell Wilson says she has a gathering anointing. So all you gotta do is get them in a room. All you gotta do is get them in a room. Create that atmosphere. So when you start bringing people and connecting people, why it's called divine connections. Like, come on, man, you connecting people to kingdom movement. You know, like, don't sleep on that at all. Like, that's something.
This is the beginning. Come on now. All right.
I already told you about that beginning. That they say, do not despise small beginnings. Now listen. I ain't gonna try to mess your theology. God created the world in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth.
That's right.
That wasn't no small thing. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That is not no small thing. So the way my faith is wrapped, if God tell me to start something, it might be small to you, but 6 days later, come on, what did God create? And God rested on the seventh, man. Let's go.
Come on, Word. Come on now. Speak it. All right, so we're going to be good right now.
Man.
And we have a question from one of our audience members.
Okay, so I know a lot of people deal with fear of success. So I wanted you guys to speak on your fear, how you dealt with it, and what advice you would give to someone else who deals with that.
Oh, well, I can go first, and then I can turn it off because I know y'all can probably really dive deep. One thing with fear with me was actually stepping away from a job that I've worked at. I've never not worked since I was 15 years old, right? So being in a career for 17 years, being a manager at a job for 10 years, and then saying I know what God wants me to do, every day for like a year, I was like, well, maybe I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna wait. I used to talk to my girlfriends all the time. I used to talk to baby all the time. I'm like, well, I know he's telling me to leave, but what I'm gonna do for money, and what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna do about this, and how I'm gonna pay this bill, and how I'm gonna pay that bill. And that was one of my biggest fears, because I provide for my kids. And when you put in a position where you feel like you can't provide, you begin to feel like a failure as a mother. And when you've been in that position before where you didn't have it and you was truly selling food stamps, just not because you could, but because you had to, and you had to be on Medicaid, and you had to be on NCI, and you had to be on WIC, and you had to have your kids in a 24-hour daycare because you didn't have anywhere else for them to sleep. You understand? That was a fear that I had, that if I left this job, it's a possibility that I can go back to where I used to be. But God had to remind me that I'm the same God that I was then, the day before then, the years before then. And if I can move you from there to where you were, making almost, $5,000, $6,000 a month, what will you be making once you step into what I'm telling you to do? Hallelujah. So my biggest fear was coming out of my comfort zone, and having the faith that God was going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. And like they say, he didn't say it was going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy. But as long as you have the faith and the patience that he's telling you to have, this is what I say. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Yeah. So if you put in the work, have faith, and the patience that God is going to do it, he's going to do it. But the biggest fear is waiting on his timing when it doesn't look like what you thought it was supposed to look like. What I would say to those that have fear of success, you can't fear what God has already told you he's going to do. If he said it, he is not a man that he should lie, and as long as you are about his business and not your business, you will not fail.
Indeed. Oh wow, that was good. I think for me, fear has evolved because sometimes when you're up against maybe the first time you're doing something, you're gonna naturally be afraid. And I tell business entrepreneurs or just starting, aspiring business women and men that's just natural. We're wired to feel some sort of discomfort because that's our body's way of letting us know, hey, you need to kind of evaluate what's going on. We're naturally wired like that. So all fear isn't just so negative fear. It's not always the enemy. It's not always your mind playing tricks on you. It's really just your mind saying, hey, be wise about your steps moving forward.
Yeah.
So some fear is just wrapped up in, it's just my first thing that I'm doing. This is the first time I'm doing it. So sometimes after you've done that for a couple of times, you know, you have different fears. So now, you know, my first fear was maybe I'm not good enough, okay? Maybe my message isn't as powerful as it was for me. My book is called Therapy for Your Soul, Book of Poetry, because it was for me.
Yes.
And my purpose was to help someone else probably heal through the process, you know, different. And it was actually my prayers to God. It was how I received him talking to me. And that's why I would always pull over. The minute I heard it, I would pull over. I mean, I did some dangerous things. Don't do all that stuff. But, you know, be wise. I think that that's most of what fear is just saying. Be wise. Think about what you're doing. Now, fear now is totally different. And once you've kind of gone through the process, the ups and downs, you kind of have some experience in business, you understand that failure is just going to be a part of it, no matter how successful you are. Because I feel like I'm not truly successful until I fail, because then I learn how to do things better.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
And you're not going to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. So if you aren't a perfect person, you aren't going to run a perfect business. Right? So now my fear now is, well, you had me sit down, but what if I get back in there and I've lost people? Right? Because you go through this process, and like you said, he'll remove people.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So I had to go through a season of pruning, where he was just cutting stuff. And I said, well, you taking this down to the bark. You know, it's like some people leave and they just kind of float away. I said, you skinning me. This getting down to the sap. You know, I'm starting to bleed a little. You cut a little deep, but that was the pruning process. And sometimes you got to go deep. You got to go deep with things, and you have to just face that pain. And you have to sit with it. You have to say, look it in the face and say, you know what? Let's go through it round for round. I'm here. You may hit me one time. I may lay down. That divorce. I told him, I said, I felt like I tried to explain it. For me personally, felt like I was in the boxing ring. I posted the post and a picture. And I said, you know, usually, you know, I hear, you know, life would hit you with a little uppercut you wasn't expecting it. Maybe you looking over there and they jabbed you. And I was like, down. You know, usually by 2, I'm up, I'm back, you know, I'm ready. Shaking, you know, I'm shaking, you know, I'm ducking, you know, I'm strategizing. This time, it was like 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. You sure she wanna, you know, that's when you start calling for the people. You wanna come get her? 9. And I heard the Lord just say, get up. I wasn't gonna get to 10.
Come on now.
But that's what it felt like, that process. I had never been hit so hard in my life.
Come on now.
Off guard. I think those are the worst hits, the ones you don't see coming. Right? You might have seen it coming, you know, but you really wasn't anticipating for it to end that way. And so my fear now is, what if I lost my reach? Because I had people. You know, people would come. I might not have had hundreds of people, maybe, you know, 30 people, but in the room it felt like 200. Right? The last time, maybe only a few people came, and you think you're going to repeat failure. But that's when you have to, you say, you know what, no, I've seen you before. We talked fear. We talked before. I already know what you're about. I know what you're about to tell me. No, thank you. I'm going to get back up. And when I told you, I told the Lord what I needed. I said, this is what I need. I need this, I need this, I need this, and I need this, and I need that. Because if you said you want me to get back in there, I need you to create an avenue for me to get back in there. And he'll create, what they say, streams in the desert, in the wasteland. Because sometimes you still be in that valley for a little bit. But he provides you with what you need and the people you need. So for me, I would tell, I always ask that too, every time, at the end of any interview in our magazine, what advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur? And it would just say, face failure for what it is. Learn from it. When you feel fear, do not panic, because sometimes fear is just your natural inclination to be wise at that moment. So just make sure that whatever you're doing it purpose, and just because you fail doesn't mean you weren't supposed to do it.
And one thing that came to mind when you was talking about that is, when you're down is when you feel like you're getting hit the most. When you're trying to stand back up and you're steady getting hit. Is there any more questions? From the audience?
Like to chime in, if it's okay.
Okay.
I would like to chime in on the fear piece because, like I mentioned, when I got the vision initially to do this conference, I was walking through what I felt like was a dry season. And when you're in a dry season, you know, believers, we just start seeking God. We just start saying, Lord, what is this? What's happening? Talk to me, speak to me. And I learned that it's not so much about fear, it's about faith. Yeah. It's a faith problem. And that's what God began to reveal to me, that it wasn't, hey, you're making faith big, but it's fear big, but it's really about your faith. You gotta check your faith level. And for me, that revelation came through me shifting how I do things. So last, you know, and I'll try to be brief with this, maybe May, June, me and my family went on a vacation up on a lake somewhere. And, you know, because I'm a talker, communicator, I find myself wanting to talk at God a lot. And I mean, that's just me. This is how we operate. This is how we were operating. Right. So we go on this trip. I'm standing next to this lake, and I was just quiet. And I was quiet, and I lifted my hands while I was on the edge of the lake. And it's like I could just feel the power of God next to that lake. I was still with my hands lifted, and I could feel him visiting me, and tears ran down my face. We were in a cabin, and we didn't have no internet. I couldn't get on social media. I couldn't do nothing. The next morning, I got up after that encounter with the Lord, and he said, I need you to start rising early, and I need you to be quiet when you get up. So I started rising 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would just sit quietly. And the reason I'm saying this about fear, because God had to shift something in my faith, but the shift in my faith happened because I started being intentional about nurturing my relationship with God. I started getting up early in the morning, and that quiet time was me having a posture and creating a system in my life where I wanted to hear from God. Many days I didn't hear anything, but what I did do was say to God through my activity and my actions that I'm waiting for you all the time. I'm waiting to hear from you. And when you nurture your relationship with God, even like you say, you feel naturally, you're going to feel afraid and you'll be met with discomfort. But when you are in constant communication, when you are constantly seeking, when you are constantly opening yourself up to hear from him with nothing to say, that was big for me because I always want to say something to him. Right. And God said, baby, I know you think what you have to say to me is important. But what I have to say to you, that's it. So I hope that blesses you on the faith.
And the craziest thing is when you say you wake up in the morning, it's funny because sometimes you'll begin waking up on your own and you don't know why.
Yes. He wants some time.
I was just asking that question. I've been getting up at 4:30 every morning.
He want to speak to you.
Every morning. And I didn't understand why. You know what? When I tell you there's a season for everything in life, right? And again, God will place people in your life and where you are just to give you the confirmations that you need. To now understand, why am I doing this? So I thank you. Because I didn't understand. I was like, I keep waking up at 4:30 in the morning and I'll be asking, is your stomach hurt? Is something wrong? I'm like, there's nothing wrong.
Getting up early in the morning, that's God. He is about to blow your mind. When I tell you my life looks nothing like it did 1 year ago. Let me just say that. Let me say it.
A year ago?
1 year ago. My life don't look nothing like it looked exactly 1 year ago. And that's when the Lord began to move on me. He said, get up and hear from me. And when I tell you, some days I don't necessarily hear, I don't feel stirred to do nothing. I will just sit quietly. But in that quiet moment, when I clear my mind and I say, God, I'm available. I'm a vessel, ready, open, available, willing, God. Speak to my soul, God. Because you know what? I'm really not led by everything out here in the world.
That's right.
I want to be led from here.
That's right.
So that when I encounter people, that's why I say a shift is happening. God is changing some things around. Because he needs to download some things in you that you can't get from nowhere.
She said a year ago, people was calling and checking on me.
Yeah.
You okay? Because I never been that low in my life. It was in the midpoint of being divorced and being where I am now. And I look back, and you have to, like you said, you have to have a shift.
Yes.
You have to go from telling him to listening.
Yeah.
And I would go on walks. I would sit outside and just look. Just sit outside with nature. And just look and let nature speak to me. He speaks all kinds of ways.
Yes.
And I promise, I feel like, well, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. You know, I'm gonna be this age, and you know, I have these boys, and they don't have a man in the house. I have a great father. You know, I said, I want him to be able to relax and feel like I'm taking care of. And people were calling, checking on me, sending me edible arrangement. It was bad. It was bad. And I was thinking a year ago, now I am free. I feel peace.
Yeah.
I say thank you. A year ago today, I was looking at a weed in my backyard. A weed that looks like a flower. Wrote a poem. Somebody posted the poem. I'm talking about low crying, looking, ugly tears because you ain't got to be cute about it. You know, you know, I don't want to do it now because I'm trying to be cute, but you know what I mean. Everybody know what I mean. A poem just based on a weed. Everything else is beautiful, but it's a weed. You know, you thinking you got to get rid of that, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the most beautiful things come from the hardest and dry.
Now.
My backyard's so dry.
Come on now.
Every time the lawn guy come, he trying to help me with it. Post a poem, a lady called me and said, I want to put this in a book. I figured, I said, well, Lord, I was trying to write a book, and she going to take and put it in her book. I said, but you didn't gave me the skills. How can I figure this out? We can both have this in a book. Book goes #1. We all bestsellers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sitting, looking at a weed, crying, feeling like my life is just as dry. Somebody need to get rid of it because I'm a weed now. But somebody publishes that saw the beauty in that poem. Publish it. We all go bestsellers.
I heard that. Now I know we're getting ready to run out of time. Anthony, I need you to give some final words in regards to, just for men, that your testimony, and when they're in a place that they see that they can't get out of, if they're out there and they're dealing drugs or in and out of jail or have families and unable to take care of them and don't know where to go, what type of advice can you give them?
The first type of advice is embrace everything that you've been through and understand that you are a child of God. So your whole life and your whole situation can be changed in a blink of an eye. So if you really desire for change, change is yours. Because you are kingdom, because you are his beloved, because his name is at stake. So if you call upon him, he has to answer your prayer. Listen, I pray intentionally now. I put the demand back on God. God, change my situation because you said.
You said.
You said, God. So you put it back on him, and that's when you start understanding who you really are and who you belong to. And God, like, things really can change. Like, I had a lot of work sitting in my lap that I could have went and sold. And even like you said, you was talking earlier, if you wouldn't have left that job and making $6,000 and $10,000 a month, it would have fell through your hands. Your car engine would have went out. Crazy stuff would have happened because God is trying to get you to a place.
Yes, that's right.
So you want to go maintain that wealth anyway. It is God who teaches thee to profit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can try to broke hustle all you want. You can go sell your foods all you want, but God is changing. You don't have to live off the system. You don't have to live off the system forever. And I just encourage you, man, stand strong. And if God give you a vision, you talking about that fear, if God give you a vision, he going to provide the provision. All you got to do is be willing and execute. When God told him to, sometimes it don't make sense. It don't make sense. You said to do this. He told him to walk around, march around 7 times, march around Jericho one time a day. And then the 7th time, do it 7 times. God, why not just tear the whole wall down? Like, come on, man.
I like to know you're obedient. First day.
Come on, God. But you want me to do all of this? Or you got to spit in my eye to make me, or go down and I got to bathe, wash my face here. I can't wash. Like, this water clean. Come on, God. And sometimes we get like that, and God is really, He's moving so fast right now. Like, you have been in my spirit like a lot. We've been praying for you. So that 4 o'clock time, and I'm sorry I didn't want to go here, but that 4 o'clock time, that's the time I used to get up every morning, and God was saying, because you're too distracted.
Yes.
If you try to talk to me at 7 o'clock, you got family stuff going on. You got this going on. I need you in a place of isolation so you can really hear it and lock in.
Come on now.
The things that you did in the streets, you can apply kingdom principles to that. And reach back and get somebody else. Because it seems like we're losing a generation. But then God is raising up a generation with the quickness. Some bold soldiers. Some people that's not afraid to tell their truth. She said she was selling food stamps, y'all. That's real life. Been there. She said that's abusive relationship. They don't have to admit that. But that's real hurt. That's going to minister to other people. We have people that we minister to now that's dealing with that. And I hope they tuned in because y'all blessed them. Miss Keisha, this is divine connection, man. This is a kingdom movement. This is kingdom movement. Her message matters. In your conference you got coming up, man, this is kingdom movement.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely want everyone to let them know, if you can give them your contact information, let them know about what's coming up. I know we have a lot just sitting up here coming up, getting ready to come up all the way through next year. Y'all have to be ready for it. Y'all really have to be prepared for it because what God is getting ready to do is nothing short of life-changing. You know, and at the end of the day, if we are able to affect one person's life, we have done what we was called to do. And that person is the person that we can help come out of that abusive relationship, come out of those situations that they're in. So I could go all day, and I'm going to leave that alone, but I know you have something coming up in January.
We do.
Go ahead and let them know, and also let them know how they can get the magazine and any contact information you want to give them, because I know someone wants you to come speak at a conference.
Come inbox me. I love the inbox. Okay, I'm on Facebook as Shante Gamble. I'm on Instagram as Shante Gamble. I try and be consistent. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, same WEC4, the number 4, Hope. So it's Women Empowering Change for Hope. We, like I said, I was at the conference and I felt, leading to go back. It's time for me to get back. So I said, well, I'm going to push you way back. Yeah. So, but we're preparing for January. It's called Dinner and Dialogue. We had it once before. It was very great. So we're going to do Dinner and Dialogue. Our topic is the power of relationships. Okay? So we're going to talk about dating, dating after divorce, dating after marriage, because we want to enrich our married couples to continue dating. Right. We're going to talk about, we have purposed, not like I'm just dating because I like you, but because we have purposes that will align. Yeah. So purposed dating on purpose. That's January 26th from 5 to 8:30. We'll provide you dinner, and if you know me, we feed you well.
And I'm going to be hungry that
feed
day.
you well, because I love to eat, right? So it's going to be good food, great people. We have vendor booths. You can read up about it on our website at womenempoweringchange.org. You can also download our magazine for free. We just published it. It's Men in Business. Wonderful cover, wonderful stories. We have several entrepreneurs, bakers, strategists, planners, businessmen from all fields, tax preparers. Everybody's in there. So you may even be able to find somebody to help you in your area of need. So it's womenempoweringchange.org, or you can find me on social media, WC the number 4 Hope, or Shante Gamble.
I'm so looking forward to it. Like I had just said, I'm already hungry, waiting on the 26th of January to be fed mentally and physically, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Lindsay, I know you have a whole lot coming up too.
I do. So our most pressing doing is the My Message Matters conference here in Houston. It's Saturday, August 18th. You guys can find tickets. There are tickets available on Eventbrite. Search for My Message Matters. We also have a Facebook, Instagram page for the conference, My Message Matters. Real simple and easy. And we'd love to have you guys. It's going to be a great time. It's an all-day event. So it's a day of learning, and that's the way God gave it to me, was to create an atmosphere where someone can come in and level up the same day. So it is an all-day conference, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have amazing speakers coming, and our presentations are very purposeful. So these are things that I've laid over in prayer, so to speak. But it's getting yourself together. You know, it's mindset mastery, self-care kind of talks, then diving deeper into how to structure, you know, a business, how to create the enterprise around your God-given talents. But we have, you know, international speakers coming in. We have right here, LaShonda Gary will be speaking at the event. She's one of our keynotes. And Cheryl Wood is flying in to keynote our event. So we have like some heavyweights going to be there. It's a phenomenal time. We're looking forward to it. And it is a co-ed event. So, you know, while I have opportunity to say that, it looks a lot like a women's conference. That wasn't on purpose. You know, in Houston, that's who responded to come speak were women. But, you know, we're working kind of behind the scenes, bringing some men into the room to share as well. So, again, that's My Message Matters on Eventbrite, Facebook, Instagram is where we've been driving all of our content about the conference. It is a 4-city tour. This is the second stop of a 4-city tour with this conference. You know, the Lord said, set up shop, around this country to create a moment where people can advance their lives. So I am also a book publisher. I own The Author's Pen. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Author's Pen. We're pretty active on Facebook, mostly. And you can go to my website as well. It's tapwriting.com. That's tapwriting.com. And The Author's Pen on social media.
All righty. Now I know you have a huge school supply drive coming up.
Yes, ma'am. So August 17th at Travis Park, if you're in the Richmond, Rosenberg area, Houston area, wherever you at, that's where we're going to be at August 17th at 10 a.m. Listen, we giving out school supplies, not one pack of paper, not one pencil. We giving supplies. God has blessed us to be a blessing. Listen, so we are pouring out back into the community, backpacks, school supplies. We're going to have like free giveaways, like raffles, like laptops, and free food. We're gonna have barbers there cutting hair for free. This is like kingdom business, man. We want to impart into the youth before they go back, because the devil is trying to take over. The enemy is trying to grab our youth because he's afraid of what they're gonna grow into. Right. So we're gonna impart into them right now and let them know that the kingdom of God is still here. We still shining the light and we still representing God and just showing them a better way, and just trying to impart into them at the same time. Install kingdom principles in them. So free food, free haircuts, free hairstyles for girls, giveaways, man. It's just come out there, man. Just have fun, and everything is free. So bring a friend, bring whoever you know. Just come get some stuff, man. Look for us on Facebook at Kingdom Talk Org, or also Anthony Thomas. You can look for me on Facebook as well, and then everything else, all our website and all the information is on there as well too. So look for us on there, and make sure y'all attend these ladies' conferences, and go with the spirit of expectancy, man. Because when you walk in, don't just go there just to go, just sit in the room, man. I'm going to expect something, and expect change, because something gonna happen.
And our event is not just for women as well. It's a good point, because we have our whole company is Women Empowering Change, but we are looking to expand and have men on board, because it is a community. We are unified, and we can't be strong women without strong men to help raise our youth and empower one another. So we want men out there too, coming and gleaming from the night, and being able to impart in them from the male perspective. So we'll have male speakers out there giving from a male's perspective, because women can only give from a woman's perspective.
That's right. That is amazing. I want to really thank each and every one of you for being here on today. I never thought that it would go the way that it's went. You have really poured into me more than I would have ever imagined. And even with Divine Connections, we also have a lot coming up in 2019 with not just the radio, talk show, and the podcast, but we will be, the Unmasking Conference will be our 4th annual women's conference. The Unmasking, Overcoming Being Broken, Bruised, and in Bondage on January 26th. And then we'll be doing our first men's conference, The Man in the Mirror. Well, we just found out that Mr. Anthony Thomas of Kingdom Talk will be emceeing that event.
Yes, Lord.
So that is
Praise
The Man
God.
in the Mirror. I thank God for my team and being able to, help me and we're pushing that vision. And another big thing that we have coming up in 2019, I wrote my first play, Broken, Bruised, and in Bondage. So that will be out in 2019. So y'all make sure y'all wait for that. And it's going to be super exciting. But again, I thank each and every one of you for coming out. Anthony, Lizzie, Shantae, again, y'all have been an amazing, amazing, amazing panel, amazing guests. And I can't wait for all that you have coming up, because Keisha will be in the house, in the park, wherever y'all are. I will be there with the crew. Listen, any of you would like to sow into Divine Connections, become a sponsor of Divine Connections and what we're getting ready to do moving forward. God has his hand on Divine Connections and where it's going. Or if you were even like advertising through us, make sure that you email me at divineconnections2017@gmail.com. And like I say every time I come on, I interview real people.
Yeah.
With real testimonies about real life, speaking on real and relevant truth. So if you would like an opportunity to be on any one of these platforms, email me. Again, that email address is divineconnections2017@gmail.com. Now I have to give my final word. When it comes to my test is my testimony, I just have to remind you of something that I seen from Steve Harvey. He put up a diagram on one of his shows, and it had boxes coming on Faith Street. And then he had some other streets that was called, what was the streets called? Fear. He had a street called Doubt. And those boxes that was on Faith Street just kept passing them by because they was on the wrong street. And it was just reminding me, when you're living in fear and you're living in doubt and you're questioning them, you can miss what God has for you. Yeah, it may come around again, but how long is it going to take for you to get what God has for you because you're on the wrong street?
Yeah.
That, I mean, to me, that says a mouthful. And when he tells you to move, you just got to jump and do what he asks you to do. God has something in store for you no matter where you are in your life. As you can see, everyone on this panel has a testimony. It may not be what you're going through, but everything that they went through made them who they were. Fantasia has a song called Necessary, and she says that it's necessary to go through what you went through to get to where you are, because what you went through is going to make you who you are. And even though you may not understand the reason that you're dealing with some of the things that you're dealing with, and you may find yourself questioning God. Like in my first book, I Know Who My Daddy Is. I asked God, why you lie so much? But he just keeps telling me, if you stay prayed up, and like you say, sometimes you got to stop talking and begin to listen. And you can't pray with a made-up mind. Understand that where you are, God will never leave you in a mess. And your mess will be your message. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to Divine Connection Presents the Thought Process Show. Thank you, Anthony Thomas, Lindsay Bivens, Shantae Gamble, for coming out once again. Before I leave, I always have to leave you with my quote. You change your thought process and you will definitely change your life. Y'all be blessed on today.